Hey everybody, Tom Sparks from We Get Around Network, the global online community for immersive capture and spatial technology professionals. We're in over 150 companies and we're currently at about 9,500 members strong right now. And today we've got a great one for you. If you've been following iGUIDE and what they've been up to, you know that they've been busy. They just launched 2 brand new deliverables that are changing the conversation around what a single property capture can produce and what capture service providers can offer their clients. We're talking about iGUIDE Site Plans, which takes your listings outside the front door and shows buyers the full property, buildings, outdoor spaces, how everything connects and flows. We're also going to talk about branded property overviews, which turn your iGUIDE floor plans into polished, agent-branded, client-ready presentations right out of the same capture. One scan, more deliverables, and more value for your clients, more revenue for your business. Joining me today from iGUIDE is Brad and Natasha. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having us.
So, real quick before we get into the questions, Natasha, if you wouldn't mind kind of introducing yourself and what you do at iGUIDE, and then Brad, I'll ask you the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm Natasha. I'm the director of marketing at iGUIDE. Excited to talk to everyone today. And this is Brad, who is our director of customer experience. So excited to bring him on because he talks to a lot of iGUIDE customers day in, day out. And it'll be interesting to hear his perspective with yours.
Yeah. Brad, do you want to do a quick little intro?
Yeah, so
Natasha kind of covered it, but
yeah, customer-facing teams here at iGUIDE. So customer success, but also support. Like Natasha said, talking a lot about site plans and how it can be leveraged in the market right now. So a lot of interesting feedback and sentiment we're getting, and pretty excited. I think it's a good differentiator for us.
Yeah. So set the stage for the We Get Around Network audience. What problems were you hearing from agents and photographers that led iGUIDE to develop the 2 new features?
Yeah, I can talk to a little bit. I think with market conditions, good or bad, I think real estate photographers are looking for ways to differentiate their packages and what they can offer their customers or the agents. When we introduced floor plans, that got exciting and that got a lot of traction. They're dealing a lot with video, as you know, and working with those assets. And as I look for more immersive experiences, I think it really leads to, well, we got the inside captured, but there's a lot of value outside of a home as well. So how can we start representing that? How can we show the value of the property, the investments that the owners have made in that property? And that really got us down the site plan path and how we can leverage exterior images plus our mapping technology to put together an immersive experience.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I've tried it out. It's great. I loved it. We can talk about my kind of experience with it, I guess, as we go on throughout the conversation, but I really want to not focus on me and have you guys talk about it. So walk us through what it actually looks like. What does a buyer or agent see when they open one up? And while we wait, if anybody's interested in learning more information, I've created a URL, WGAN.info/iGUIDE, and it will take everybody right to iGUIDE's website where they can take a look and get more information.
Perfect. So this is a beautiful property.
I know, I want to live there.
Yeah, this one is oceanfront. As you can see, this is maybe one of the ideal examples of where the value of a site plan and seeing how the building sits on the property and was entailed in that whole property. So here, beautiful piece, typical iGUIDE, as you can imagine. Again, beautiful property, nice gallery images. But now your virtual tour can bring, the inside out. You can get right out to that outside experience. You can see the site plan. You can click around. And in this case, they had intricate gardens. So you can go on this garden tour and see all the value of the outside as you're clicking around and seeing how it relates to where you are in relation to the building. I can look back up towards the house. As I get closer to the property, I can go inside and out. So again, we're connecting the inside and exterior spaces for that immersive experience. So if I click on that door gate there, I can see exactly where I come in through that exterior door, which will be behind me. So I walk through in there and how it connects to the space. So what we're trying to do is connect that inside to outside space, but give the great context of the two spaces and just how it all comes together.
And to select between the two on the mini map right there, you can select
So
between the two.
just as you normally navigate a tour, of
Yeah.
course, you can do the floors and then jump directly to the site plan. As the creative or the photographer, you can enable what settings you want, where you start, the initial pano, the angles that you have. So Tom, as you know, if there's a view that you like or you want to make sure that the buyer lands on when they first come to that listing, they are able to have it. And it creates this amazing setup here.
I'm just curious, do you know how big the property was?
So this one is a fairly large one, as you can tell, and it goes right down into the water. So just a great location and something that you definitely want to show, and where you would have had exterior photos anyways, but this then places those exterior photos that you would have captured. It connects them all together and shows you the layout of the full site. And then connects that to the building, and you can see how the building is laid out there too. So there's just a lot of extra data that's provided to that buyer and to help them make more informed decisions.
Yeah, it's way better than just photos, because photos, you're going to see a very narrow field of what's there, maybe that angle, and you're not going to be able to look all around with just photos only. So having this, especially in that type of property, is there, there's a huge benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, nice. So site plans are described as a schematic representation, not a certified land survey. How do you help photographers and agents communicate that distinction to their clients so expectations are set correctly?
Yeah, so one thing we're known for is the accuracy of our floor plans and the measurements of those floor plans, something that's reliable. As you get into outdoor spaces, there's not clear boundaries. The LiDAR you're not hitting across the other side of the ocean or the inlet in that image to get clear dimensions. And of course, the LiDAR doesn't quite go that far. So we wanted to make sure that there is a decoupling between the accurate floor plans and then the more schematic site plan. So it's more for visual representation. It's connecting the spaces. The panos in the exterior spaces may not be pinpoint accurate as it would be on an interior scan as they're being placed in space. But when we were talking to customers and the feedback that we got now, that's what they want, right? That's the click-through immersion. They want the floor plan and the dimensions interior, but when you go outside, it is about the experience. It's about seeing the assets that are available there, and the accuracy of that dimensions aren't necessarily required there. And it's not a survey, right? It's not like a municipal or township or city survey that shows you exact boundary lines. When we draft it based on the visuals, we draft on aerial data, and the boundaries aren't going to be exact. We're looking for natural divides or where we can see clear boundary lines, but they won't be pinpoint accurate.
Yeah. Feature request, make it survey grade. I have a neighbor who's become a pain in my butt, and I wish I could just take my iGUIDE out there and be like, look, you're on my property line.
Mm-hmm. There's always more we can do, and that's even stuff that we're thinking about here. We're getting a lot of feedback based on different use cases, which is really exciting and allows us to iterate quickly. So we're consuming that all and prioritizing just ways to add different value. So waterfront properties, obviously it's a great experience. How can we make sure that the viewer knows that it's on waterfront and there's a dock there and a boathouse? There's a lot of acreages. So how do you, as the properties get bigger, there's less detail within the site plan, as you can imagine. How do you show the value of that property and capture a forest or a bush? Lots of cool applications that are being used today already, and our product team is really thinking about ways to continue to improve this feature.
The capture workflow requires a two-phase kind of approach. interior and exterior scans. Can you walk us through kind of what that looks like on site for the photographer, as far as, maybe how much additional time it takes to capture the outside? I know that was kind of a one-off because it was huge, but
Yeah.
what's the average you're seeing maybe on outdoor scans?
Yeah, so what we find is a lot of the photographers are already capturing exterior scans, maybe outside the front door, around the home, in the backyard, a couple spots. And if you're doing that already, it's really no extra time.
Yeah.
That's enough for us to build out a site plan for you. We pair that with more 3D aerial data and build out that site plan. So in that point, it's no extra time. It gives you a quick value add that you can bolt onto your packages or offer to that homeowner. I think what we stress the most is one, capture experience. The way you scan inside is no different than the way outside. You place it, you get out of the way, you scan it, and then you move on. There's varying details. So if you want, like in this case, they wanted a garden tour. So they took more scans around the garden. So the viewer had a better experience and can see all the assets that are there. But if it was a big open field, you don't need to scan the field. You can make sure you just place scans wherever you want the viewer to have a perspective. And that is more than enough to create that site plan for us.
Yeah, so, I don't remember the timing on the one I did, but I did capture it on video. So I'll put a link in the description to that video. But it wasn't very much time at all to capture the front and backyard. And I typically don't do that on iGuides, just because I feel like my time is important. And if the client's not paying for it, I'm not going to do it. But that's now an add-on for me, is we can do the outside too. And it's, again, very minimal amount of work. Very similar, the same process of capturing inside and less scans, I would argue. iGUIDE uses the Planix camera, primarily designed for interior mapping, for exterior scans too. What are the practical limits for photographers in the field? Are there any property types or lot sizes where the site plans don't work well?
Yeah, so it's focused on and designed for residential properties. But after that, we have not imposed any other limits. We have acreages, we have golf courses, like that type of ground coverage. We have these waterfront properties. Where it's not applicable is like a condo or an apartment where you don't have any exterior spaces. Therefore, like, of course, you'd normally maybe include a patio scan, but that's not a site plan. We're not going to map out the full property there. And we're not doing commercial spaces right now. But that can be interesting in the future. Because it's schematic, we just geared it and focused on the residential application here. But yeah, it's pretty applicable.
Nice. Are all cameras that iGUIDE supports, the IMS5, the Planix Pro, and the R1, are they all capable of providing this?
Yeah, so you did ask that question. Some of the limitations. So all of our cameras capture it. It's visual based, right? We're using the pano images to grab the details for the site plan. We're not leveraging the LiDAR. Of course, that helps us place the scans and align the scans, but it's not used because it's just a schematic floor plan. So we're not pulling dimensions off of that. Now, when you're outside and you're in big properties, if you capture out in the middle of the field, it's really hard to align off things. But that's where best placement is all that's required. You put it to where you are, you orientate it correctly, and then when you submit that to our team, we review and refine and make sure it's the best deliverable possible.
Yeah. Feature request way down the road is an RTK module maybe on there somewhere.
Yeah.
I've got a running list going.
Maybe if you're controlling it with an iPhone, there might be a way to use some sort of data from the iPhone. I don't know.
You might be onto something.
Yeah. So you brought up something that I just want to ask the question so you can kind of elaborate on it a little more. Site plans are currently limited to single family, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes. Is there a roadmap to go beyond that and do the full kind of apartment community or full warehouse type scans?
Yeah, so I think we didn't want to delay any release of the feature. We wanted to get it out there and start collecting feedback right away. So we tried to be laser focused on what we were working on and who it was for. We're trying not to restrict people, so we don't reject them unless it's something very commercial like. And we're just collecting that feedback. I think there are plans to explore how else could they be applied, where's the additional value that it could deliver. Of course, maybe if you're in a complex, knowing the grounds is probably a valuable asset of what amenities are there and how big is it? Is there green space? So I could see practical applications there. And Tom, I know even getting into AEC spaces, right? Having a schematic site plan, even though it's not a complete survey, does provide context, and that could be valuable to see how buildings are connected and spaces between them. So lots of interesting things out there, and that gets me excited. And then when our customers are excited about, oh, I wish I could do this, or I started using it in this way, that's what drives us, right? So we'll keep eating that up and finding ways to increase the value.
I have a client around UC Berkeley that has about 900 doors in maybe 40 different buildings.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of iGuides for them. And they now want to do that kind of like whole complex, show where the amenities are, show the floor plate of each floor and that sort of thing. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how that develops.
What we always encourage, and like this is our success mantra altogether, is like we want to hear about those opportunities. Obviously, we've talked a lot about stuff like this in the past, but anytime there's unique use cases or people are wondering about applications of any of our features, reach out to our team. Let's have a conversation about it. I think we're a very personable team, and I think that's some of the value that we bring to the table and differentiates us in the market. Come to us. Is like, hey, I'm thinking about this, or I would like to offer this to this person. What can we do together? And we're always open to exploring and finding ways to evolve.
Yeah, for sure. Top-notch customer service, and if you say the right thing, you might get a pair of socks out of it.
He knows.
So you're using third-party satellite data to supplement the on-site scans for a lot of area information. How does that work, and what happens if it's a new development that hasn't quite been captured yet, or maybe a remodel of a house where they added a pool that wasn't there on Google Earth? Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, so there's always spots that have good coverage and not as good coverage. We haven't come across too many cases yet, although there are a few. That's why when we look at capture requirements, we want a lot of visual data from the Planix camera, because that is more than enough for us to go off of. But we also want capture to be easy in general. So we don't want extra steps or very minimal extra time to have this value add. So when we can, we rely on that third-party data. But when that's not available, or it's not as strong, or it's outdated, we would rely more on the visual data from the Planix.
Gotcha. Well, before we go into branded property overviews, was there anything else about the site plan that either of you wanted to share?
I don't think so. I just echo what Brad's saying. Like, we're laser focused on capturing feedback from all our customers using this, and we're keen to hear what they want to say. At the end of the day, our goal is, more context for buyers, a better experience for agents, and more opportunity for our photographer community. So that's the goal there.
Is there a kind of a dedicated pipeline for capturing that feedback, or is it the forum?
The forum's great. We're definitely monitoring and capturing in there, but anything, email, on the phones, we are syncing up across all the departments just to make sure we're all on the same page about what folks are saying about this feature and how we can iterate and improve it.
They should just feed it all through you, Tom, and then that's be enough. Everyone just reach out to you.
I was going to say, you did what? You're going to forward everybody to me?
Yeah.
No, you're Brad, you're on the forum, and you're very engaged with everybody who creates questions on there, on iGUIDE's forum. And I get on there, I'm like, dang, Brad must live there. Like,
it's so important to us that the voice is important. hearing people's voices, making sure it's in the public domain. We want to make sure that people feel comfortable asking questions and answering questions. You can always phone our team or create a ticket and you'll get the most timely, responsive support. But when people are asking general questions, of course, we let our forum go by itself, but we chime in when we can, and where we think we can add value. Obviously, I don't have the context of in the field and how to position it and how to market. And that's where other people can chime in and add value. But yeah, like let us know, reach out. We care about the voice and we want to continually to evolve our product and make it valuable for everybody, everyone in your network. There's things that we can do to optimize.
Yeah. I'll tell you, early on with iGUIDE years ago, I ran into an issue. I was like on a dock and I wasn't getting a connection with the older platform camera. And I didn't know like what to do. And I was freaking out. And I called Michael and he's like, "Hey, what's up? I'm out in the backyard barbecuing. Let me see if I can walk you through this." And yeah, he was able to do it. And it got me up and running. And so, use the support process, but
yeah,
everybody there is like super helpful and friendly and capable of answering all questions, it seems.
We'll always answer. We'll always text back.
Right. So on to branded property overviews. They're described as a presentation focused rather than a measurement report. Can you show us what one looks like and what kind of branding elements does the agent control?
Just kind of can you guys see that all right, hopefully?
Yeah, yep.
And Tash, you can talk to it more, but just a very quick little overview. I think what we recognize is people want a quick way to provide branded assets where you can control the coloring of the floor plan and the rooms. You can add headshots, you can add logos, you can add contact details, but then you can have that one-pager asset that you can provide to all your agents in a consistent way. So with the branded property overview, now it can bleed to multiple pages depending on the house and the size. But what you're getting here is the floor plans that you can see that include the data, and then you're getting the site plan. The orientation will always remain consistent. So as you flip through them or looking through them, you can kind of get the same context and you're not lost. But again, trying to provide that great, leave behind asset using all of the branding that you're applying to any of your iGUIDEs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I actually told, I think Mike on the call that we did, I was like, print it out and leave a bunch at your next open house so that people can take them with them because it has all your information on it, has everything about the house. It's better than the flyers I've seen at houses that are just photos and, descriptions.
And it's no additional cost.
Yeah.
It's another branding tool in your tool belt. So.
Yep.
And what I would do too, and again, it's all about what we know as like photographers and creatives in general, like to have full control of the process. So it's something that's configurable. One, you can provide it to them as an asset. You can upload it as a PDF to the listing site. It can be available within the iGUIDE as well. So here, as you know, your gallery can be all here. Any videos that you capture can go on site. But when you look at the details and you get into the property details, that's where you can find these quick downloads. So you can configure this whether you make them visible or not for anyone viewing the tour, but you can grab that and that's what generates that sample. And we also just have the plain floor plan one, which is non-branded and puts priority on the actual floor plan itself.
Yeah. Great stuff. The iGUIDE site notes that these are not the same as a measurement report. They serve a different purpose. How do photographers explain that differentiation to agents who might be comparing this to other branded floor plans that they're already using?
Yeah,
I can go ahead.
Go for it.
I was just going to say, this is a separate report. We may look in the future to combine the two into one asset, but for now, it's just like I mentioned before, just an additional branding tool. I guess if I'm trying to, you think an agent would What would they ask?
Well,
What wouldn't they ask? Nice.
What wouldn't they ask? Yeah.
I think
how would I use this? How is this different than the iGUIDE report?
Hmm.
What's the benefit of having this? That, I guess, kind of that sort of thing.
to Natasha's point before, it's another asset that you have available in your toolbox that you can provide. In this case, I see it, like you mentioned, it can be a leave behind in an open house. It could be a quick reference when looking at it. They can see everything all together, all in one spot with the agent branding. It could be sent via email if you're following up with someone to help them recall the property that they were looking at. So I think it can be leveraged in a variety of different ways. The measurement report, of course, has its place as well if someone is very particular or they're looking at doing renovations or whatever they may be doing. And the measurement report would be the best spot to go for that. But again, it's another asset that's automatically included in the deliverable that they can leverage in any way that they see fit.
Yeah.
It's been crazy the amount of downloads we've gotten from that. I was blown away how quickly it was being used, and how frequently it's being reused, like multiple times by the same people. To me, telling there's a lot of value delivered by that. So people are seeing value from it, which is great.
Who's the one kicking themselves going, I wish we would have did this sooner?
Yeah, it's always the case.
Yeah. Especially if you're seeing a huge number of downloads, somebody's like, oh man, why didn't we think of this?
Yeah, just another opportunity to customize the experience and get your brand out there for sure.
So I know the answer to this. I'm gonna ask it anyway so that you guys can explain it for our viewers. But who sets up the branding? Is it the photographer? Is it the agent, the brokerage? And then how does that work when a photographer serves agents across multiple brokerages with different brand standards?
Yeah, so that's, I think, a definite value of our platform. So as you know, when you intake a new customer or working with someone new, you can set up a branding template within our platform. So we have people who have hundreds of these things for all the agents they work with or have worked with in the past. The templates can be shared across photographers as well. So if an agent uses multiple photographers, depending on their portfolio or their coverage, it could be shared. So they work with and setting it up once, and it can be applied by any photographer. You look at headshots, you look at logos, contact details. You can pick branding colors that can be leveraged in the assets. Those can be modified and edited over time by the creative or the photographer who has access to the iGUIDE platform, but can be obviously in direct connection with and under the direction of the agent. So we try to make it as easy as possible to have that consistency across all iGUIDEs and across all assets.
Nice. So I have some kind of general questions about all this, but is there anything else about branded property overviews that I might have missed?
No, I don't think so.
We got it.
For viewers who are currently using iGUIDE, how would you recommend they price site plans? Is there guidance on what kind of to charge clients? I know it's up to each operator and every market's a little different, but do you have some general guidelines on what you've seen this has worked out at?
This is the question that I get from customers so often about all deliverables that is so hard for me to answer. As you know, every single market is completely different. It's dependent on the property itself. The one that has larger capture outside would be different than a typical maybe suburban property, which is different than something within the city limits, perhaps. We see it all over. We see anywhere from $100 to $300 depending on the market. I think what a lot of people are trying it out at is like around the 150 mark to see how that resonates and are having more and more conversations. So it's something I'm discussing with customers even weekly as it's evolving and they're getting more feedback, understanding time on site and appetite for more. But a lot of photographers too are just including in their packages and adding value to their packages and allowing them to charge the premium or differentiate themselves in the market. So in that case, it's cost of goods sold, time on site, plus the deliverable from us. And then they can figure out how that can bolster their upsell opportunity.
Yeah, it's interesting as I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I would want to include it for free.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, there's value in being one of the only people that are offering that versus like everybody else in the neighborhood who is doing real estate photography. Maybe they don't have iGUIDE, or maybe they don't know about site plans yet and they're not offering it. So that differentiator could gain me more money in the long run rather than just charging them one time for that 150 outdoor scan or whatever I would charge them.
Yeah, so the what I'm seeing is resonating the most right now is an add-on to all the packages, depending on how they position iGUIDE, the premiums or standards within their packages. I'm seeing that they're leveraging it as an additional add-on because if they're already capturing a couple exterior scans, they're maybe they would do a couple more based on where they want people to view in the tour, but um, it's really no or minimal extra time for them. So then if they can bolt on a price and make it easy for someone to say, yes, that makes sense to me, they're
Yeah.
definitely going to do it.
Yeah. Well, fun fact, at Sparks Media Group, we have never offered anything other than premium to our clients. So we don't do that
It's the way it
Nice.
should be.
lower. Yeah, it should be that way. Um, the launch messaging says that this helps photographers position themselves as full property visualization providers rather than interior focused vendors. What's the typical upsell conversation a photographer would have with the listing agent to add site plans to a job? What would the messaging be?
I think Brad, you can chime in obviously, but the message that we've been using is just we're providing a more complete listing experience, and like Brad already mentioned, minimal additional work. Well, I guess you wouldn't be saying that to the photographer, but to the agent, but for the photographer, minimal additional time on site and effort, but you provide this like souped up package where you have both the interiors and the exteriors, and you can really truly get a sense of context of the property and how the property sits on the land. Um,
Yeah.
When we were originally looking at the idea and starting to brainstorm, there was a lot of discussions on would this be only applicable to the agents? There's always the type who wants absolutely everything, right? Marketing through the roof. They want the best images. They'll pay for the drones. They want the video walkthrough. They want maybe a talking head. And we thought that this would be something that they would want to include as another way to market their property. Um, but we're seeing it's actually a value add on everyday properties and for every agent. So when I think about it as a consumer, when I see a site plan now, I'm like, yes, like I would want to see that in a property that I was exploring. There's a lot of context there. There's a lot of info, and maybe that's me. I have a technical background and I just like seeing that and how the building sits and the layout and the gardens that I work so hard to cut the lines on and work on. But like,
Yeah.
I think for me as a consumer, it's a super valuable asset. And that's where I would start the conversation. It's just like you're providing more context to the buyer. You're bringing in more qualified buyers because they're in love with the property and they know the granular details of that property now. And it's just I think it's going to take off. I think it's a huge differentiator today. You don't see a lot of them yet. I think
Yeah.
naturally in markets where it's more prevalent, it's just something that's expected. I think we're going to get there one day where, I want to see the property. And that's a huge value out of the house that I'm buying.
Yeah.
yeah. Who doesn't want the full picture?
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you, I think it should be a requirement to list a house to have a site plan, a site map, something, not just some random photo editor's red lines of what an outline of a property looks like.
Yeah.
And when I bought my last house, I was specifically passing up listings that only had 3, 4, 10, 15 pictures. I wanted to see everything. I want to see the garage.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the backyard because I felt that if they weren't showing that, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
And so it's probably not worth my time to go look at the house. It could have been a great house, but if they didn't show what the laundry room looked like, that's a big.
Then they're hiding something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's true. There's something to be said there about site plans they build credibility through like trust and transparency to all parties. Like you're accurately, factually representing the property in all elements.
Yeah, for sure. Do photographers get a preview or a kind of quality control setup before the site plan goes out to the agent, or is it delivered directly with the iGUIDE report?
So same concept is you can hide and manage the panos and the floors right within your iGUIDE editor. So before you ship it to your customer, you have time to review, you can edit, you can suggest feedback. So we have gotten a little bit of feedback on property boundaries or something like that they want to make sure is included or defined a bit differently. But yeah, you same idea with any of your iGUIDEs. You have the opportunity to review them before you ship them out. You have the full edit capability within our portal, and then of course you have the drafting team that you can submit update requests on.
Yeah. Are there any certifications, training modules, or resources in your iGUIDE forum specifically for site plan capture best practices?
Yeah, so I would suggest going to our help desk, help.iguide.com, search site plans. It'll bring up our knowledge-based articles relating to that. It outlines the ideal, most comprehensive capture. So when, say, aerial data is not there, or if you want the best, most detailed deliverable. But like we talked about is really if you have a couple scans outside, that's all you need. Think about the locations of where to capture or where you want a viewer to have a perspective on, and that's all you would need to get that deliverable. But like no new tools, no new training or new skills. Your same photographer can go out and grab that for you. If they know how to press the button on your phone, they're going to be just fine. And it's just a simple thing that you can add on.
Yeah. We also created a bunch of marketing materials for photographers to go out there and be able to position this to their agent clients. We've got, an overview of the value and the benefits. We've got some white labeled videos that showcase site plans, branded property overviews. So it makes it really easy. You can just share that with your agent, gauge the interest, position it. Yeah. At least that's the intent. And we have a great new YouTube video of the entire capture process from Sparks Media Group. So
I was just going to say, if you needed a full workflow video, I often get flack from some companies about the length of my videos, but I also get a ton of comments on my YouTube channel about the length of my videos and how they appreciate that I leave everything in, and people can always fast forward in a video if they want, but if you miss something, you want to slow it down and watch it. And so, I did a full workflow video on how to do this, and it's available on my YouTube channel. So check it out.
It was also interesting how you were able to get the agent in the second video, the agent perspective, which I think is important and is a strong piece of content.
Yeah. The agents that I've talked to about it so far, I've loved it. I did one for another agent, and I haven't got her locked down to get on camera yet, but she loved it too. So how are MLS platforms responding to site plans as a new listing asset? Are any of them starting to formalize kind of a standard for having this?
I think it's early, from my perspective, early days in that yet. Just like how we saw the evolution of like 3D virtual tours finding their ways onto listing platforms and how they're better integrated and served up. I think we'll see that evolve over time. What we offer within our assets are the JPEGs, the PDFs, SVGs, so they can be leveraged in a variety of different ways across media sources. So uploading it to the gallery on the listing makes sense, and the agent or the customer can leverage it in a variety of different ways. I'm excited to see where it goes over time and how partnerships can evolve and making the most immersive experience. I think every listing portal wants an immersive experience. They want to keep people on the listing. This is another way that's promoting more engagement on that listing and click through. So I think everyone will be open and is open to that idea.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute, and you can tell me to buzz off.
This is Tasha's question, and no matter what it is,
what's next on the product roadmap that our viewers should be watching out for?
I can spoil some things.
Go for it. I was conveniently muted.
Yeah, perfect.
Look at the mic. It's not working. Darn.
I think what's really exciting coming up And again, part of being immersive and streamlined experiences, you're going to see updates to our viewer experience, both on desktop and mobile. Now that we're delivering more assets and more immersive experiences, we're finding better ways to improve the presentation and the user experience around those things. So I would say stay tuned for announcements around that and what that could look like, and hopefully more videos.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Every time I get an email, it's a iGUIDE technical update. I'm like, something cool has came.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah. So for We Get Around Network members or anybody watching who hasn't tried iGUIDE yet, or anybody who's been on the fence, what's one thing about these new features that you should push, or that should push them to take a closer look?
In terms of, I think just like we mentioned, delivering a complete listing experience now, interiors and exteriors. And then obviously, one of our huge differentiators all around is just no subscriptions, per project pricing. We want to work with the photographers as our creative partners to, not be locking them into anything, and just supporting them every way.
Revenue generating opportunity. Where's my thumb here? Revenue generating opportunity, minimal time on site, same tools, same skills, something else that they can offer to differentiate themselves in the market, something that someone else beside them is not offering when talking to those potential customers. So there's no harm in exploring it and trying to include it and see what feedback is getting from the market, receive from the market.
Good stuff. Well, I think the last question I had is, where should viewers go to learn more? Maybe try a demo or just connect with you guys.
Yeah, so go iGUIDE.com. You can book a demo there or reach us. If you're specifically interested in site plans, there's a ton of resources all over the website under our solutions around site plans as well. But you can always very easily talk to support, talk to sales, talk to marketing, all from our website, go iGUIDE.com.
Okay. Anything that I missed?
No, I think that's great. I think it's just, if I could reiterate anything, it's the feedback and excitement we're getting. One, you can share that or empathize with that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we're getting a ton of feedback about both features. Like I said, the downloads on the BPO, but just we're getting a lot of engagement about site plans just because it is different. And it's something that makes sense to a lot of people when they're having conversations. So yeah, it's been great conversations that we've been able to have.
Yeah, and again, I've tried it now twice, and both agents loved it. So and we got one on camera, good old Mike Martin. He's always down to have a conversation. So, well, thanks, guys. That's a wrap on today's We Get Around Network TV. A big thank you to Natasha and Brad and everybody at iGUIDE for walking us through site plans and branded property overviews. This is exactly the kind of innovation our community wants to know about. If you're an iGUIDE user, these features you'll want to start offering your client right away. And if you've been thinking about adding iGUIDE to your toolkit, this is a great time to take a closer look. Head over to goiGUIDE.com to learn more and maybe book a demo. For the rest of you, if you found value in today's conversation, share it with anybody, fellow Capture Pro, or anybody else you think might be interested in it. Leave a comment, make sure you're subscribed, give the video a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Until next time, I'm Tom Sparks, and this is We Get Around Network. Go capture something great.